I'd like to take a moment to express how I'm feeling about some things. But first off, I understand that there's so much going on in the world right now. There's the coronavirus, just so much tragedy and everything like that. And by no means am I taking away from anything. This is just me expressing my frustration on some personal issues, I guess you could say. Um, so I'm having a hard time here. I'm beyond frustrated. I have not quite sure how to start it off. So last July, I received a letter in the mail that said basically, sorry to hear about your grandmother's passing. Um, I was confused because I didn't know she had passed away and things like that. For an entire year, I've been trying to reach my uncle, my grandmother, and of course, my dad had passed away 9 years ago. So, um, and they had all lived in the same house. Well, so I make a few phone calls. I find out that my uncle has passed away. And I had been trying and trying and trying to reach, and nobody bothered to reach out to me. And of course, I've lived in the same town my entire life, so it's not like they couldn't have found me easily. But nonetheless, so I finally get the answers that I need about all this, and then I find out that there's an estate lawyer trying to reach me. So, with this being said, I'm like, okay, all I wanted to know what was going to happen with everything that they had. I wasn't looking to get anything. I wasn't looking to be one of those selfish people, in the world that how some people get extra greedy and stuff like that. That's not me. For me, it's just, I was just wanting to see the house one more time, just go through the memories, and it's just been a long road. So I had the opportunity to do that, but also was sitting down with the estate lawyer, whoever my uncle had put into place, um, as far as like his will and things like that. I'm not understanding some of this, but they were to get everything that was in the house. Well, that bothers me a little bit because I'm family. It's not that I wanted anything specific other than what was my dad's. Because when he passed, I was not allowed to have hardly any of his stuff. And I asked for it was just a nightstand, just a little dresser thing that was his that meant a lot to me. But I had to get approval from whoever this couple is. Well, unfortunately, I was not granted that. Although they did, and I apologize if this offends anybody. The only thing that they had called the estate lawyer and told them, saying, "Hey, we found this. We thought you might like to have it." It was a family Bible. To be honest, I didn't know my family was religious in any way on that side. They were very different. My grandmother was she was very hard to get along with. Don't get me wrong, I love my family and all their quirkiness, but I dealt with a lot whenever it would come to visiting and things like that. Um, so I wasn't out to get anything, but I was told that this couple would get everything that was in the house. As soon as the house sold, I got, obviously after everything was paid off, that was owed wise, I would get half of what was to, from the house selling, as well as this other couple. Well, to me, on that side of things, it seemed a little unfair because in reality, you know, if I'm getting very little, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a selfish person. I'm probably one of the sweetest people that you'd ever meet. I'm very, very sweet, very nice. I mean, I get along with everybody. And I felt like I was being kind of walked all over, which in life I've had plenty of, and I've let people do it time and time again. And, I guess I'm just too nice of a person at times. So I was like, okay, there's nothing I can do. I can't change this. So be it. But then I'm told that they had a buyer for the house, and it was like, great. My husband and I were like, hey, we could use the money put towards a house, and we could actually own our own home. We actually rent a house right now, so it'd be really nice for us, especially since we have 3 kids, and we need more room. Well, through some emails and things like that, and just staying in touch, like I had requested to be notified of everything, just so I could have an understanding of what was going on, because I've never dealt with this before. Well, it's a definitely different situation. And you'll have to pardon my huffy and puffiness. I'm very frustrated at this point. So recently, over the past few months, the buyer backed out. Everything was fine. They had a new buyer. The house was up in value more than it was. I was like, okay, this will be a good starting point. But I wasn't getting my hopes up at that point. And 2, that was before all this, the coronavirus had started. So everything was still going according to plan, or at least I feel like I was being lied to, because that's what I was told. So then on Thursday, we get a phone call that said, hey, just wanted to update you, saying that everything's going smoothly. As soon as the courts open back up, we're going to sign and close on the house, and then we'll be sending you out your share of the money. Well, prior to this, I told my husband that we needed a plan B, because I was not very confident that things would come through. Although in life, things are never as you plan. And of course, we've had a lot of that over the last 4 years. We've had a lot of hiccups along the way, but the one thing I always tell him is we can make it through anything. And so far we have. So far we've come out on top, as even struggling. But we're very grateful for the things that we have, that our family has stayed healthy, and I hope everyone out there is working as hard as they can to accomplish that as well. On top of this, we were looking at houses. There was one that we wanted, and unfortunately I had to back out and tell the lady that we could not get it at the time, because I did not have the money, and I kept reaching out and trying to get an answer on when they were closing on my grandmother's house, so that we could make the proper adjustments that we needed to, because I was trying to do all this before we had to renew the lease again, because we'd have to do it for another year. Well, it's not so bad, but owning your own home, and instead of paying rent, it's a lot easier to pay a mortgage, and know that you're accomplishing something, rather than renting a house and paying somebody else money and not getting anywhere with it. I mean, it's not yours. You can't do anything with it, that sort of thing. So that's where all this kind of frustration comes into play. All in all, we were told that because of the buyers backing out, and then them getting a new one and things not getting signed quick enough, now they're blaming the coronavirus for this, which I call a load of crap. Not the virus itself, but them using that as an excuse. They're using every excuse that they can at this point, and telling us that basically we're winding up with very little. It's not even enough to put as a down payment towards anything. I don't mind hard work, just to clarify. I've worked hard. I've worked at a Subway restaurant for 6 years before the last almost 3 years I've been at a different job. I've bettered myself. I've worked hard. I don't mind it. And that's what you have to do in life. You have to pick up the pieces. You have to continue on. But this is my way of trying to let go of my frustration and not be bitter. But it's very hard because when somebody has your hopes up so much and then it just like crashes and burns. I mean, we had the same thing happen 2 years ago with a house. We were told we had no money that needed to be put down. Everything was good. A week before closing on that house, they said we had to put more than $3,000 down, which would have wiped out everything, and we would have gone in there with nothing. And I told my husband that we couldn't do it. It's not possible. I'm not going to have you resent me for us moving into a house that we can't. I mean, at that time, I was still at Subway and my paycheck went down to practically nothing. I could barely even make my car payment at the time. So yeah, I mean, we've come from that to where we are, and trust me, we're more than grateful. We're more fortunate than a lot of people in the world. I am very grateful for everything. But this, like I said, this is just my frustration getting out, and I know that things will be okay. It will. Things always have a way of working out for the better. I mean, I just hope that things don't take 10 years to come into the light for this. I'm hoping within the next year we'll be able to be exactly where we need to be. And I do hope that everyone out there is trying their best to stay well, to stay healthy. I know it's scary. I know it's frustrating. You know, us at work, we're trying our best to stay as healthy as possible and take all the precautions, and I hope you and your families do the same. Again, thank you for listening. I understand that this is long and probably not what anybody wants to hear, but this is my frustrating moment, and I look a little scary at the moment because I have been up for a couple hours, so I haven't bothered to do my hair or anything like that. But again, thanks for listening. I greatly appreciate it.